It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car Con Carne. It's a Q101 podcast. I'm James Van Alstyne. Car Con Carne, sponsored by Easy Automation, easy-automation.net. Are you looking to transform your home, your office, or your business into a smart, seamlessly connected space? Well, Easy Automation is a local business. They're over in Aurora, and they deliver custom automation solutions tailored to your lifestyle. Whether you're upgrading your home entertainment, streamlining your office tech, or just enhancing the atmosphere in your restaurant or sports bar, they've got you covered. Their expert team designs and installs personalized systems from smart lighting and climate control to audio-video distribution and robust Wi-Fi networks, all managed through an intuitive app on your favorite device. Easy Automation makes technology work for you, effortlessly, reliably, and always with your satisfaction guaranteed. Visit easy-automation.net or call my guy Dan. He can be reached directly at 630-730-3728 and take control of your environment today.
Great.
You feeling good?
I feel good. I'm going to take a bite of this first.
I think you should. It looks like it's too hot to start eating.
I need to eat my pizza like 5 minutes out of the oven. I can't do delivery ever.
Can you do cold pizza in the morning?
No, never.
Really?
Never.
Is there like
Pizza's not intended to be eaten cold. It's intended to be eaten hot, melted.
That's really good, Steve.
I tried this guy though.
Interview hasn't even started and we're already eating pizza.
Oh, that's good.
So what's the deep dish? This is just sausage?
It's technically deep pan, and we can talk about the difference between deep pan and deep dish. But this is a sausage. That's it. I'm a man of few toppings. I'm a minimalist, but I think only one or two ingredients besides the sauce and cheese, maximum.
I agree with that. Especially when you're talking vegetables and they get watery and...
Oh, well, that's another conversation. So with vegetables, especially if it's mushrooms or onions or spinach, you want to saute those or roast those ahead of time. And then when you build your pizza, you add the roasted or sauteed vegetable because it's cooked all the water out of it.
Right.
Otherwise, you get a soggy pizza.
That's no good.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can begin. I think we began.
All right. Can I ask you why we're not in the car?
You're looking... Why are we not in the car? This is why we're not in the car. We're at Labriola.
Okay.
And we're eating their amazing pizza. We've got...
You've ever eaten pizza in the car? I guess not.
Oh, yeah.
Tailgate.
No, I have. I've done pizza in the car. I've done tomahawk steaks in the car.
But no, we're having pizza here. This is important. We got to have it on a table.
Right. We got to eat like adults.
Oh, sausage is
like
great.
Dignified adults.
I get that camera set up. Make sure it looks good.
I don't know that I can.
It's like
there we go.
The radio guy working with the video. It's interesting to watch.
That's the thing. I should introduce you first and foremost. My guest, that guy right here, he is synonymous with food in Chicago. He's won 13 James Beard Awards.
Yeah, 13.
And I swear to God, his face can still be seen on the walls of every restaurant in the city, from dives to fine dining establishments. There was a time, Steve, where I swear to God, when I dined out more often, I would see your face more often than I would see my parents.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you ate well.
I did.
You have very good taste in restaurants.
He's been part of the media landscape, TV, radio, podcasting for over 30 years. He was the Hungry Hound on ABC, the food guy on NBC, and now he's working in a role created specifically for him, which is the American dream, by the way, with Levy Restaurants. But wait, there's more. He's the author of Pizza City USA, the curator of Pizza City Fest, happening from August 22nd through the 24th in River North. That's a lot to get through. He is Steve Dolinsky.
I'm old. I'm an old guy. I've been around. What can I say?
You're seasoned.
Yeah, seasoned. Very good word. Thanks.
So
thanks for having me.
Labriola Ristorante, 535 North Michigan Avenue, a stone's throw from where we both worked, the NBC Tower, a stone's throw from Pizza City Fest.
Yeah, this is great, right? How convenient. Labriola, named for Rich Labriola, who used to sell bread out of the back of his car. He was a bread guy. He really built his name in Chicago in the 90s, Labriola Bakery. And while I'm talking, you can feel free to eat pizza. And then he opened up a pizzeria.
Is this going to be a while?
Well, I could go on, but you'll just give me a high sign when to stop. He had a pizzeria. It still does, Labriola Cafe out in Oak Brook. and he was doing wood-fired pizza because wood-fired was all the rage, like 15 years ago.
Right.
And so he did this Neapolitan-style pizza. Then he opened up Labriola just down the way a little bit, and then he opened up Labriola down here on Michigan Avenue. And he's got a couple different styles here. Today we're looking at our table. We've got a deep pan and a Chicago thin pizza. The old-timers don't like when I say tavern. They like Chicago thin.
They get really upset.
They get really upset about it. And so Rich has done a great job with his deep pan. It's kind of modeled after, it's a hat tip to Burt Katz from Burt's Place and Pequod's with that caramelized burnt edge that's sort of burnt mozzarella basically.
Which I
in
love.
a deep pan with just chunks of sausage that have been pinched and pressed directly onto the pie. So they render the fat out as it bakes. And it's just one of my favorites in terms of this style. And we have a tour business called Pizza City Tours, and we typically start our Saturday bus tour here for this deep pan.
That's a tough chore for people. That's like they should get a certificate or a high five.
It's a heavy lift for the first stop. It is, because you're going to go to 3 more places after this. And people do like the flavor because of the cornmeal, the corn flour, the coarse cornmeal underneath it, the quality of the cheese, the quality of the sauce. They like this pizza, and so they often will ask for a second slice, which I always just say no. Because you're going to have 3 more pizzas, you're not going to get to taste the last one.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
And I apologize. Your background is television. That's really how so many of us have come to know you. My background's radio. I've got 2 sad little lights and my sad little camera here. I hope this doesn't seem too small time for you.
Not at all. Well, the technology, right? So after the pandemic, I actually changed the equipment that I worked with in television, and I upgraded to a nicer 35 millimeter, which is what I brought with me to NBC when I went over there, which is why my stuff looked so much better when I got to Channel 5. But the technology has gotten to the point where, you don't need to have huge cameras and lights, and everything's small and portable now. So this is great.
It's DIY.
It is DIY. Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. I always tell young people, like, if you can't do everything yourself, you shouldn't be doing it. You do need to kind of be resourceful and do everything yourself now.
You really do. I heard an interesting quote, and I love this quote. Generation X, I'm assuming you're X, or at least
I'm Gen X, yeah.
Generation X is the first generation to be more technologically savvy than the generation that came after it, or generations that came after it. It's an interesting one to think about. When I think about my kids, I think I'm way more tech savvy than they are.
You know what? That's a good point.
I think we're, to your point, like we're more resourceful and like figuring stuff out.
We are. Yeah, you're right. Because we're not necessarily digitally native, right? We kind of work in both worlds. And we've had to adapt to a lot of things. Like obviously, the iPhone, and then going from analog to digital, and how computers have evolved. Yeah, I mean, I certainly can do more visually and audio editing than my kids can, and they're in their 20s. Although my son majored in audio production, he knows the Ableton and the other audio software they work with, but I'm probably more adept at video.
Yeah. So, Pizza City Fest.
Yep.
I want to talk about this year's event. I feel like we can't move forward talking about this event without talking about the last one, which, by all accounts, perhaps was not as successful as you would have liked.
It wasn't. Although, I'm going to bury the lead here. Day 2 was great. Day 2 was amazing because we corrected the problems from day 1. But you're talking about, this is 2023, so it was year 2. Year 1 was at the Plumbers Union Hall in the West Loop. But year 2 was at Salt Shed. And we love that venue. We love the people who run it. And we had several problems with day 1. The main one being that the power company, the generator company, apparently didn't read the emails that went back and forth about what the phase power. There's phase 1, phase 3 power, and they had to rewire the generator the morning of the event. And I want to throw somebody under the bus, but I'm not like that. I'm not going to do that. But that's what happened, and that set us back because 6 of the ovens couldn't work until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And so by 3 in the afternoon, and we extended the event another hour to 6 p.m., we had 3 good hours on day 1. But I still ended up processing like 400 full refunds for that first day. And we had too long of a line at the front door. They didn't have enough people set up there to sort of get people in the door quickly. We had too many activations and ovens and things going on where, it crowded the space and it made everything really tight. So we learned the hard way that, we need to move things around overnight. Day 2, we came back 100% better. But we've learned from that, and so that's why I took a year off. My friend Joe Shanahan at Metro said, take a year off, think about it, really think hard about how, do you want to come back? And if you do it, you've really got to do a heart reset.
Yeah.
Which is what we're doing.
And the new location for this year is?
New location. It's, like I said, 2 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's 430 North Rush. It's that big open parking lot where Windy City Smokeout started, where the Oyster Fest started from Shaw's, across from Nordstrom, 50,000 square feet, big lot. So we'll have 7 ovens, not 10 ovens, because the ovens are enormous that we ship in. And again, having 10 ovens at Salt Shed is just, it's a recipe for disaster. So 7 ovens with 2 decks each. So each pizzeria has a deck of their own, and so we have 14 pizza makers each day. New venue, new production company. Duff Entertainment does a great job. They're known in Chicago. New format. You can do an all-you-can-eat ticket for VIP, or you can do an a la carte ticket for a lot less money. We just listen to people, and we're trying to do it the right way and make sure it works. We've done this event in Nashville where it worked. We've done this event 3 times in LA where it works like a charm. We'd like to solve the Chicago issue.
Because if it's going to work anywhere, it's got to work here.
It should. It's our hometown. I've lived here for 30 plus years. Like, I'd love it to work here. There are, for people who don't know this, there are a lot of hurdles in doing an event like this where you have to get on private property so you can charge a ticket. You've got to raise money from sponsors so you can actually have an event.
Right. Because
it costs lots of money to ship ovens in.
It's almost prohibitive, the hoops you have to jump through.
It is. I'm crazy for doing this again. But I keep saying to people, 3rd time's either the charm or the end.
So what you're saying is, come back. You've listened.
Yeah.
You've assessed. You've triaged.
We have. We've really listened to people. Believe me, I don't want to spend another 2 weeks after the event processing refunds from angry people. I just don't want to do that again.
Because I'm sure those refund requests also came with some cross messages.
Oh, yeah. They weren't really polite and pleasant, actually. Actually, you know what? There was one really pleasant one, and it was from Mike Satinover, who's the ramen lord from Akahoshi Ramen. And I saw his name on the list, and I was like, my heart sank, because such a nice guy, and he was so pleasant about it. He was like, look, I came and didn't have a great experience. I'm like, don't even ask. Of course, we're processing it for you. He was really sweet about it. But the other 389 people were not happy with us and didn't really cut us any slack, which I guess that's the way it is. So, that's the risk you take when you run an event. But anyway, we're moving on to this new event. We've listened, we've learned, and we're adapting.
PizzaCityFest.com. Okay, you said 14 pizza options this year.
Yep. 14 a day. 14 pizzas a day. Some are going to do 2 days in a row.
Got it. Okay.
But we probably have, so that's, 42 pizzas over 3 days?
Yeah.
So several of those are the same pizza place, but it's about 35 pizzerias.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And so each day you'll have about 8 or 9 styles of pizza. You'll have Sicilian, Detroit, Roman, Neapolitan, deep dish, deep pan, tavern, stuffed.
So that said, looking at the list, and there's some, these are all great places. There are some ones that perhaps might have been obvious that are not on the list when people think about Chicago pizza.
Yeah.
I'm
going to let you name them, not me.
Okay, like Bert's, like Pequod, like Lou Malnati's, like Vito and Nick's.
So we've reached out to several places, and several places said they didn't want to do it. So
okay,
that's pretty simple as that.
That's my question.
Yeah,
no,
listen, I asked. There are probably a dozen that I asked that are deciding not to come because they're too small, or they're too new, or they don't have the staff. We ask a lot. You've got to bring at least 2 staff with you.
Yeah.
We prefer 3, but you got to bring 2 with you. And you've got to be there because our event is from 4 to 10 on Friday and Saturday. You need to be there about 2 o'clock to load in, and so you got to have to close if you're a small place. So, but on the flip side of that, we don't want to have the big chains either.
Right.
We did have Giordano's the first 2 years. We thought that we needed to have them because they're such a big name in Chicago, but we realized that I think people, if they're from Chicago, they don't need to have that at this event.
Right.
So we want to have we do need to have stuff represented. So we've got Angelo's from Archer Heights, or we've got Nancy's, which were the creators of Stuffed, which I think is important.
Yeah.
But there's no Lou Malnati's. We've had them in the past. We got to mix things up. Just like in LA, we change about 30% of the pizzerias of the lineup each year. We've got to change this lineup too. So I've got some newbies and I got some oldies.
Just to rattle off some names: Candlelight.
Yeah, old school from Rogers Park, but they just opened up in Lincoln Park.
That
And-
marquee, I love that they replicated their marquee for the Lincoln Park location.
It's next to the I.O. across
Yeah.
from the huge Whole Foods on Kingsbury, and I think their Chicago Thin is quite respectable and deserves to be at an event like this.
I guess let's dig in a little bit to the different styles. You started rattling them off, all the different Detroit,
Yeah.
New Haven, etc. I guess they're all represented here. Can you speak? I mean, you are the pizza expert. You wrote the books. Can you speak a little bit to the different styles and what? Because I think it's a blur to a lot of people.
You're right, and I'm happy to. Well, let's talk about the Chicago, the four horsemen of Chicago, right? So you've got deep pan, deep dish, stuffed, and Chicago Thin, a.k.a. Tavern. We'll start with, we're eating deep pan here at Labriola, and as I said, based on the Pequod's Burt's style, you'll find this style at Millie's Pizza in the Pan. I think George's in Edgewater is similar to this, even though he calls it George's Deep
And you love
Dish.
that place.
I do love George's, and he'll be there 2 days, which is incredible. And he's going to do a mortadella with pistachio and ricotta, which is incredible.
Ooh.
But anyway, deep pan. So this dough is it's proofed overnight. It's left pressed out in a pan. There's a little bit of cornmeal in the bottom of the pan, but it's pressed out gently just to the edges and left to rise a little bit. And then then the cheese slices are placed on top of that dough. And they're sort of kissing the inner wall of sort of in between the dough and the pan. So you can see the dough is quite high, and it's even across the whole width or what the diameter of the pizza. It's the same height. That's a deep pan pizza. It's thicker. It's more like a focaccia.
Got it.
Deep dish, we're talking Lou Malnati's, Paisanos, My Pie. That dough is pressed down pretty tight into the bottom of the pan, quite thin, and it's pressed hard into the walls as well, maybe halfway up the side of the pan. And so when it bakes, it becomes more like a crisp, tender biscuit, as opposed to a soft, cushy focaccia. And so, again, same thing. You put the slices of mozzarella down at the bottom to protect the dough, as always, and then your toppings, and then your sauce. So when you bake this and you pick up a slice, you should be able to hold it without needing a knife and fork.
Right.
It's more firm. So that's deep dish, deep pan, right? Difference there. Then there's stuffed. And so this is where everybody gets confused, because especially on the East Coast, they'll say, oh, that Chicago deep dish garbage. It's above ground outdoor pool. It's a boat anchor. It's lasagna in a bread bowl. So that's stuffed pizza has 2 layers of dough. Mm-hmm. Bottom layer of dough, bunch of shredded cheese that's pressed down, your topping, and then a second layer of dough across the top, and then your sauce on top of that. So that top layer of dough becomes kind of gummy, almost like a cooked noodle texture, because it sits between cheese below it and sauce above it. That's Nancy's, that's Angelo's stuff, that's Giordano's. Mm-hmm. That's not deep dish. Yes,
Right.
It's done in a deep pan, but it's not the deep dish style of
Right.
pizza, right? I just described that deep dish. It's a stuffed pizza. And this is where everybody in Chicago gets it wrong.
100%.
Stuffed is not, Giordano's is not deep dish. And so this is why I started this whole crazy down the rabbit hole with Alice to figure out why we call things the wrong way. And then there's Chicago Thin, there's Tavern style, the very thin and crispy, cut into squares. We all know it from Chicago.
All my life, I've been calling it thin crust.
It's thin crust, right? It's Chicago Thin. But again, if you just said thin crust to somebody from outside of Chicago, they would say we have thin crust, in St. Louis and in Lancaster or whatever. Well, it's Chicago Thin, right? Chicago Thin is unique. But we have this style in Michigan and Minnesota. In the upper Midwest, we have this tavern bar pie, this tavern cut, whatever you want to call it. But it's Chicago Thin.
Right. Right.
So those are the 4 styles. I didn't even
The
talk
4
about-
horsemen.
There's Sicilian, done in a rectangular sheet pan, left to rise overnight. So it's a bit thicker, like a deep pan is. Detroit style is basically deep pan in a square pan. It's a deep pan.
When I think of that, I think of more like you said, like a focaccia.
It is a focaccia, but if you looked at a Pequod's or a Burt's and you put it next to a Detroit-style pizza, and you didn't know, the round versus the square, they're going to be about the same height, about the same cushiness, and the crispness on the bottom. So there's not the difference is the shape. So Detroit is very similar. It's got the crispy edge, the frico burnt around the edge. Same principle, except it's brick cheese instead of mozzarella, like it would be in Chicago. There's artisan style, which I'm a big fan of. Robert's Pizza and Dough Company is an artisan. Middlebrow is an artisan. We're talking longer fermentation, 3 days of fermentation, higher hydration in the dough, more water in the dough. You get bigger open crumb sort of pockets on the side of the heel. Typically the toppings are a bit finer, like You're working with small salumi producers. You're not working with the back of whatever comes off the back of a Cisco truck. A little bit more sort of chef's approach to pizza.
Right.
That's artisan. What else? There's Roman al taglio, by the cut. So they take scissors and they cut it based on how much you want, and then they weigh it by the pound.
I don't think I'm familiar with this at all.
So Capriccio in Lincoln Square will be there, and Bonci in the West Loop will be there. This is Roman al taglio, Roman by the cut. Yeah. So it's a thin pizza, but it's got a little bit of heft in the middle, like a focaccia, because it's got a 36 to 72 hour fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
So it does give the yeast time to eat the sugars to create carbon dioxide to give it a little bit of a rise. That's Roman style. Different types of flours are used. It's definitely par baked. So you sort of set the first baking, and then you top it with whatever you want to top it with, and then bake it a second time. So the Roman hallmark is crispy pizza versus the Neapolitan style, which we have at Forno Rosso. We'll have at Lantern from Downers Grove, a softer, more pliable, almost wetter pizza in the middle, because it only bakes in 90 seconds. So quicker bake, higher temperature, but more wet and soft in the middle versus a slightly longer bake or a secondary bake, like a Roman style or even a Sicilian style. It's sort of like when you go to New York and you say, I want the one in the case, I want that cheese slice. Well, that cheese slice was baked already ahead of time. You're going to throw it in the oven to refresh it for 2 minutes. You're getting a really crispy crust that way. It's the same thing with Roman. You're baking it twice.
I could listen to you talk about pizza all day long.
Sorry.
So no, that's a good thing. That said, you're curating this event. Will people see you walking the grounds? Can people pull you aside and say, "Hey, Steve, I'm trying this. What do you think about this?"
I'll be there all day and all night. I'll be walking around. I'll be emceeing. We can talk pizza as much as you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's my event. I got to be there.
Because if you're going, odds are with it you're a food nerd.
Yes, we have people driving from
Ohio. This is your Lollapalooza.
This is your Lollapalooza if you're a pizza guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you care about fresh pizza, we talked about before we were taping, maybe we were taping, I never eat delivery, I never eat cold pizza.
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing this event, the most important part of this event are the ovens.
Yeah.
Mara Forney from Washington, D.C., we put them on a semi, they ship them out here, we unload them 2 days before the event, and they weigh, tons. They're retail like $35,000 ovens. And so we have 7 of these massive ovens, and we have to make sure they're working before the event starts, because otherwise it's a failure. So the cool thing about this event is that you're getting pizzas fresh from the oven. They're not being driven in and kept under heat lamps, as some people will do. And so, people are like, why do I got to pay $25 just to get in? Well, you're paying because you're going to essentially, we're bringing the pizzeria to you.
Yeah.
You're not having to drive to Cary, Illinois to have Uncle Jerry's amazing deep dish pizza, which I think is probably the best deep dish now that My Pie is closed. That's probably the best deep dish.
Interesting.
But it's in Cary, Illinois. It's an hour north of Chicago. But they'll be baking it fresh. So that's the key to this event is it's baked fresh, served hot.
Thinking about those $35,000 ovens, I think the best business model on earth has to be the company or people that repair those.
Oh, my God, yeah. Because
there's probably no competition. It's probably like one guy who can do that.
But I feel like they're made so well. Like they really are made well, built to last. But you're right. The repair business would be a good one for those ovens. The key is their electric ovens. We're not burning wood. They're very sustainable, clean energy.
What makes Chicago such a great town for pizza? Is it just the geography, like how big of a city it is? There's the opportunity to have as many?
It's the deep bench we have. It's the ecosystem that we've created here with pizza. Certainly you could argue that even though deep dish is more popular nationally and internationally, that started in 1943 officially, but didn't really get kickstarted until 1971. So from 43 to 71, there were like 3 deep dish places in Chicago, Uno, Due, and Gino's.
Right.
But in 71, you get Pequod's and My Pie and a bunch of other Lou Malnati's.
Mm-hmm.
So, but before the deep dish wave, you had all this Chicago Thin, tavern style. Right? And then in 71, you get the birth of stuffed pizza. And then you get people coming here doing Detroit style and Roman style and Sicilian and the Italian bakery style you'll see up on Cumberland at like the Italian bakery.
Yes.
So we have a lot more styles here. We're not beholden to one style. That's what makes us a good pizza town. People say New Haven's a great pizza town. I do love eating pizza in New Haven, but there are 5 pizzerias that all do the same style of pizza. To me, that's not a great pizza town. That's a one-trick pony. It's like the Green Bay Packers. There's one thing in that town that they can get excited about. And I feel like New York is a great pizza town, but again, basically 3 styles: Grandma, Sicilian, and the slices. That's about all they have there. We have those and a lot more.
So Pizza City Fest is coming up. PizzaCityFest.com to buy tickets, find out more.
Lineups are there, tickets are there. Yeah, PizzaCityFest.com.
I want to talk before we wrap up here about food journalism. I mean, for decades we talked about this. You were on television. You were a very public face talking about what's happening in the food scene. Food journalism seems all but dead. I mean, I don't count influencers taking very glossy videos of plated food as journalism.
Yeah. You're right. It's really sad. And I feel like I jumped ship at the right time. NBC would have kept me, I think, for a long time, but I needed more than 1 day a week and 1 year at a time, and that's kind of where the business is. The contracts are getting shorter.
Sure.
They don't want you on every day. That's, I needed a full-time job, and I kind of created this job out of thin air. But to your point, yeah, Eater just laid off their editor here in Chicago, and the 15 people around the country, actually, including Dallas and, major markets. And there just isn't a lot. There's not a lot of money being spent on investing in food coverage. And I don't know why. I mean, Chicago is an amazing food town. We're the 3rd largest city in the country. You'd think there'd be demand here, but the accessibility, the ease with which you can see something on TikTok and Instagram, and my kids are in their 20s, they don't really necessarily need to read the Chicago Tribune's review to see what's going on food-wise. And you could argue that section has suffered too. Nick Kindlesberger left, and that was a great voice, I think, for food coverage. And so, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I just feel like the only places that can afford to really invest in food are the New York Times, Washington Post, maybe LA Times to some extent, although they've also had a lot of struggles there too. So it's really, it's sad. I don't know what to tell young people who want to go into the business.
Well, I think the answer is DIY. I mean, I used to do radio for 30 years or whatever, and this is how I do radio now. I think food journalism has moved by and large to blogs, like you said, TikToks.
I think you have to have a unique point of view. Like, one of my unique point of views is that I really care about pizza, and so I have something to say about it. I don't review pizzas like other people on the internet who have a huge following and review and give places like numbers and ratings. I just feel like if you study something long enough, hard enough, and become an expert in it, people will pay attention to you, and that's partly why we do this event. It's like we want to educate people. We want to teach them something about. We have panel discussions. We have classes. I don't want this to be one of those events where you have people with their heads down just sort of cutting pizzas and putting it out in front of them on the table, and you're picking it up kind of wordlessly. I tell all of our pizzerias, hey, if you're the owner of the shop, put your pizzaiolo on the oven. You need to be in front talking to guests and explaining what makes this pizza unique and why. What does the fermentation mean? Like, I want you to be out front and educating people. And so I feel like that's been my point of difference. Is like this is not just stuff your face event.
Yeah.
This is about educating people. This has been my beat for several years since 2017, and I've tried to really make it something that we should be proud of in Chicago. Like, I just feel like for so long, Chicago pizza was a punchline. And like nobody started talking about it in a meaningful way until I wrote that first book. And then, like you said, sausage giardiniera became a thing. I'll take credit for some of that because, like, even, at Pat's, Gina, the owner there, is like, I've never had so many people ask for sausage giardiniera since your tour started. So I think that's a cool thing.
So as much as you are associated with pizza, you're also very much associated with food. You, for a career, have had to follow ups and downs, trends, movements. What do you see coming down the pike? Food-wise, trend-wise?
Indian food. There's a big story in the New York Times this week about sort of the great London Indian places are finally coming to New York. I feel like in 2 or 3 years you'll see it coming here. Already there's a place called Nadu in Lincoln Park, my favorite new restaurant. Really outstanding Indian food. I think people are game for lots of cumin and coriander and cardamom, and they want those flavors and a little bit of spice. And I feel like that's the next thing. I know we've been talking about Filipino food for the last 8 years, that's the next hot thing. But places like Kasama and Del Sur Bakery, and you see touches of of Filipino food in different places. There's a great bakery up on the northwest side on Foster. I think Filipino food is also going to have its moment.
Thinking about Indian food, I love Indian food. I struggle knowing where to go. Like, I know Devon Avenue is littered with Indian restaurants, but it's so hard to figure out like what place is going to be the right one to.
Yeah, I mean, but you could look up stuff that I've written about, or Titus Rossetti at Chai Barbecue King. He does some great coverage up there. I mean, there's a great place called Con Barbecue at the corner of Western and Devon.
I went there with Mike from Food Editor many years ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mike has good coverage as well. So yeah, I mean, and Mike does a great job with his newsletter every Sunday too, I think. So yeah, well, Rangoli is a good place down on North and Western Avenue area. But Nadu, go to Nadu on Lincoln.
I love it. All right, Steve, in summary, Pizza City Fest, pizzacityfest.com. It is upon us. It's happening August 22nd through the 24th in River North. It's going to be an awesome event. Some lessons were learned.
Yep, lots of lessons were learned.
The people have been heard, and you've got the right restaurants lined up for this, and it's going to be a blast.
It's going to be great. I hope to see you there. I hope to see everybody listening there.
And it should be mentioned, there's live music, too.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, live music.
I mean, if you're going to be outside...
16 candles playing the best stuff from the 80s. That is so in my wheelhouse. I cannot wait.
There's the Gen X right there.
I want to hear some Tears for Fears, some Thompson Twins, whatever it takes. The Cure, I want it all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.